Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'd like to share the story of the love I once believed would last forever. My journey with Ryan began in the most unassuming way. During our first year of college, when he asked to borrow my notebook after class, I was struck by his gentle smile and sincere eyes. And in that moment, I felt a connection that I hadn't experienced before. What started as a simple act of kindness slowly transformed into daily conversations, shared jokes, and a mutual sense of understanding that made me believe in the promise of a new beginning. As our friendship deepened, we discovered that we had far more in common than we ever imagined. Long walks around campus, late night talks about our dreams, and the quiet comfort of knowing someone truly understood you became the foundation of our bond. I started to see not only his ambition and humor, but also the kindness and vulnerability behind his eyes. It was during those small, intimate moments that I fell deeply in love with him. Each memory felt like a precious thread woven into the tapestry of our future together. We soon transitioned from friends to lovers, and every day felt like a new chapter in a beautiful story. Ryan would surprise me with little gestures, favorite snacks left on my desk, spontaneous text messages that made my heart race, and promises whispered under starlit skies. I believed with all my heart that we were building something eternal, that every shared smile and tender embrace was a promise of forever. I was young, hopeful, and utterly convinced that I had found my soulmate. Looking back, I cherish those early days of innocent love. They painted my world in vibrant colors and taught me what it meant to trust and to dream. In those moments, nothing seemed impossible. I was confident that together, Ryan and I could overcome any challenge, and that our love would be the kind that survived every test time could throw at us. As time went on, the golden glow of our early love began to show hints of shadow. At first, the changes were subtle. A missed call here, a delayed reply there. I brushed these off as the pressures of daily life, convinced that our love was strong enough to weather any storm. But beneath the surface, I started to feel a quiet unease. I began questioning why Ryan's once enthusiastic messages were now brief, and why our late-night conversations gradually lost their warmth. I vividly remember the evenings when I'd sit alone, replaying our past conversations in my head, trying to find clues to his sudden distance. Each unanswered text and every distracted glance added another layer to my growing doubt. I struggled with the idea that perhaps I was overthinking, that stress from work or studies was to blame. Yet deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was irreparably wrong. The person I had once known was slowly fading away, replaced by a silence I couldn't ignore. One particularly cold night, I mustered the courage to ask him directly about the change in his demeanor. "Ryan, is everything okay? You seem so distant lately," I asked, my voice trembling with both hope and fear. His response was calm, yet evasive, dismissing my concerns with a simple explanation about work stress. Though I tried to believe him, his eyes betrayed a reluctance to meet mine, a silent admission that there was more to the story than he was willing to share. In that moment, I realized that our once open conversations were now shrouded in mystery and half-truths. As days turned into weeks, these cracks in our relationship grew wider. The comfortable, predictable rhythm of our love was disrupted by uncertainty. Every small inconsistency felt like a chisel chipping away at the foundation of trust we had built together. I began to feel isolated in our shared space, wondering if the love that once filled our home was slowly being replaced by silence and hidden secrets. The day I discovered the truth remains the most painful chapter in my life. I was in our apartment, aimlessly scrolling through my phone, when an image froze me in place. A photograph of Ryan, laughing and embraced by another woman. The intimacy in that moment, so familiar, yet so foreign, struck me like a bolt of lightning. For a long, agonizing moment, I tried to convince myself that it was a misunderstanding, that the picture couldn't possibly reflect the reality of our life together. But as I stared at that image, the weight of betrayal began to sink in. Every promise we had shared, every dream we had nurtured together, suddenly seemed like a cruel illusion. I felt a mix of disbelief, anger, and deep sorrow wash over me. My hands trembled uncontrollably as I clutched the phone, trying desperately to block out the reality unfolding before my eyes. The person I had trusted with every piece of my heart had shattered that trust in an instant. When Ryan finally walked through the door that night, I could barely contain the storm of emotions raging inside me. His face, usually so full of warmth and understanding, now looked heavy with guilt and regret. I couldn't hold back any longer. With a voice choked by pain, I confronted him. "Ryan, who is she?" The silence that followed was more crushing than any argument we had ever had. His hesitant words, "I've met someone else," cut deeper than I ever imagined possible. It was in that moment that every cherished memory turned bitter, every shared laugh transformed into a painful reminder of what was lost. In the wake of his confession, I was left standing in a void of shattered dreams and broken promises. The betrayal was not just in his actions, but in the slow erosion of our bond that I had failed to see coming. I felt as if my entire world had collapsed around me, leaving behind nothing but questions and a profound sense of inadequacy. It was a moment of profound loss, the loss of the future I had envisioned, the loss of trust, and most devastatingly, the loss of a part of myself. In the days that followed, the pain was unbearable. I withdrew into myself, isolating from friends and family, consumed by the raw hurt of betrayal. Every corner of our home, once filled with laughter and love, now echoed with silence and memories of happier times. I would sit for hours, replaying every conversation, every shared moment, desperate to pinpoint when everything went wrong. The overwhelming sense of loss made me question my self-worth and the very essence of my identity. Sleep became a distant memory as the nights grew longer and colder. I found myself awake in the middle of the night, haunted by images of Ryan with her. A vision that replayed in my mind over and over again. Each day felt like an uphill battle as I struggled to navigate the overwhelming waves of grief and confusion. The world outside continued on, indifferent to my suffering, while I grappled with the emptiness that had taken hold of my heart. I remember a particular afternoon when the weight of everything became too much to bear. I wandered aimlessly through the park, the autumn leaves crunching beneath my feet, and allowed my thoughts to spill freely. In that moment of solitude, I began to see that the pain was not a reflection of my inadequacy, but rather the consequence of loving someone who couldn't reciprocate that love. It was a bitter lesson, one that taught me the hard truth about the fragility of trust and the unpredictable nature of the human heart. Slowly, the initial shock of betrayal began to give way to a grim acceptance. I realized that clinging to the past would only hold me captive in my sorrow. While the journey ahead was daunting, I knew that I had to find a way to reclaim my life. It was time to face the aftermath, to rebuild what had been shattered, and to learn to live again without the person I once thought defined me. In the midst of despair, I reached a turning point, a moment when I recognized that the only person who could save me was myself. I started with small steps, rediscovering old passions that I had set aside and seeking solace in activities that nurtured my soul. I reconnected with friends, those who reminded me that I was more than the broken pieces of a failed relationship. With every new day, I began to see a glimmer of hope emerging from the darkness. I threw myself into new experiences, traveling to places I'd always dreamed of visiting and meeting people who broadened my perspective. Through these journeys, I slowly rebuilt the confidence that had been eroded by heartbreak. I learned to embrace solitude, finding strength in my own company, rather than seeking validation from someone else. Every step forward was a small victory, a testament to my resilience and my capacity to heal. As I rebuilt my life, I started to see the beauty in the scars left behind. They weren't just reminders of pain, but also symbols of my survival and growth. I discovered that losing Ryan was not the end of my story, but rather a painful yet necessary chapter that led me to a deeper understanding of who I truly was. I began to celebrate the strength that came from overcoming betrayal, knowing that every challenge had made me wiser and more compassionate toward myself. Now I stand here not as the woman who was left behind, but as someone who has reclaimed her power and rediscovered her worth. I learned that healing is not about erasing the past, but about integrating the lessons it taught me into a stronger, more resilient self. I am no longer defined by the pain or by the loss of what I once thought was love. I am defined by the courage it took to rise again. To anyone out there who has ever experienced the sting of betrayal or the crushing weight of heartbreak, I want you to know this. You are enough. The person who failed to see your worth does not define you. In the depths of despair, I found that the most profound discovery was learning to love and honor myself. The scars may remain, but they are a testament to the battles you've overcome and the strength you possess. Every painful moment in my journey was a stepping stone to becoming the person I am today. A person who understands that sometimes losing someone isn't a reflection of your inadequacy, but rather a redirection towards something greater. Embrace your pain, learn from it, and let it fuel your transformation. Your worth is not measured by another's inability to love you fully. I stand before you now, not as a victim of my past, but as a survivor who has turned heartbreak into a story of empowerment. Remember, healing is a journey, and every step you take toward reclaiming your happiness is a victory. Let your story be one of resilience, hope, and the unwavering belief that the best chapters of your life are still waiting to be written. Thank you for watching this video and joining me on this deeply personal journey. I hope my story has resonated with you and shown that even the most painful chapters can lead to growth, healing, and empowerment. Every twist and turn in our lives teaches us something valuable about trust, self-worth, and the courage to rise above our challenges. As you reflect on this story, remember that every setback is an opportunity for a new beginning. Just as I discovered my inner strength and reclaimed my identity, you too can turn hardships into stepping stones toward a brighter future. Life's toughest lessons often come wrapped in pain, but it is through these experiences that we learn to appreciate our true worth and find the motivation to move forward. I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you for being part of our community at StoryWise English. Our mission is to inspire and empower you, not just through storytelling, but also through supporting your English learning journey. With every narrative we share, you gain new vocabulary, enhance your comprehension, and connect more deeply with the English language, all while absorbing life lessons that encourage resilience and hope. Please subscribe to our channel and join us as we continue to share stories that not only move you emotionally, but also help you grow in your English skills. Your support means the world to us, and every view, like, and comment fuels our passion to bring you more inspiring content. Keep believing in yourself, and never forget that every word you learn and every story you experience makes you stronger and wiser. Thank you for watching, and remember, your story is still being written. Stay inspired, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next video.